calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I am going to go ballistic. I couldn't be more angry right now. What in goodness gracious is going on? It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I'm going to need technical support in here in a second. For some odd reason, I've got no audio online. And I can't hear, I don't see a thing going online, so people are just watching my mouth move. And I thought, you leave it here, you go, you come back the next weekend, audio busted. And I know it's probably because something over here is not plugged in. Roland, we may need to get someone. I know there's no volume. I'm hearing it, and I'm already ticked off. I walk in and I don't think anything's been touched, and of course something's been touched. That's okay. We'll figure it out during the commercial break. I've got more things to deal with. If you got to, go to WTIC.com if you're listening online as well and you're in your car. I don't want to spend any time about that because I'm raring to go and I got things to do. So we'll fix it in the next break. Now, welcome home, everybody, from your vacation. I hope that you saw some family members you haven't seen in a while. Saw Grandma, saw Pop. I hope it was a wonderful weekend for you. I had a great one. Took the wife shopping this weekend. Went to go visit friends in Tewksbury. Went to Boston even. Went to go see the building, the exterior building that was always shown on that TV show, Boston Legal, that incredibly liberal show that I actually liked. Big fan of James Spader. Love William Shatner on that show. Took my wife to go see that building. She was very excited. We had a great time. We went to some bougie Italian sandwich shop. Straight garbage. I talked about it on Friday. Go back and listen to the program. Now, before Thanksgiving, I said to you, as you were going out driving on the highways, dealing with traffic, I said to all of you that I wanted you to say a prayer with me, to just say the prayer with me. God, or any higher power you wish to pray to, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, it is the serenity prayer. I use it often in my life. Not just because I became a sober person. It's because I found out that was a template for life. To accept the things that I cannot change. The courage to change the things that I can. I had a guy in Virginia, when we used to read that, he would say, and I'm not going to give the names because, of course, they're anonymity, but I'll just make up names for it. So Bill would say during that part when he says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, he would go, Bob. His friend, his best friend, he would go, Bob. The courage to change the things that I can, he would go, me. And the wisdom to know the difference. Get it? To accept the things I cannot change, everybody else around me. The courage to change the things that I can, me. Me. And the wisdom to know the difference. That's it. That's the whole serenity prayer broken down for you. Why it is said, why it is used, and why is it a template for life. It keeps you from getting angry in those ridiculous moments where you can't understand why you lost your ish. Why did I scream like that? Why did I yell at that guy over a traffic light? Why did I get so upset when he merged in front of me? Because I couldn't accept the things that I cannot change. If that guy's a bobo, if he's a butthole, you can't change that. That's just who he is. If he is inconsiderate and in a rush, you can't change that. But you can change you. Now, why am I repeating this? Why am I telling you this? Because of Ben Proto. I'm sorry. But I ain't off this yet. And I know we had Friday's show and everybody was, doing their thing. The fallout is the fallout to my interview with Ben Proto. I am not defensive about this. I can't control how you responded to that. I can't. And I don't want to. I want no parts of controlling how you feel about Ben Proto. Don't care. That's yours. But there's a lot of people who need that serenity prayer. A lot of people. And I say that because it's good for you. And you need it. You can't possibly understand what I was thinking when I was reading comments about Ben Proto and the interview as I was listening. And when I wrote my Substack this week, I made it clear that Ben Proto's got his own issues to deal with. Clearly, they exist. As do the people who are criticizing Ben Proto, have some issues of their own, refusing to see it as a two-sides issue in the sense of what responsibility people bear in all of this baffles the crap out of me. No self-reflection while demanding Ben Proto have some. That's the part I don't get. Everybody's screaming and hollering, Ben must accept, Ben must do this, Ben must take responsibility, while no one else is going, yeah, but here's where I dropped the ball. People wanting to go to war, but have no plan. No plan. And when I say a plan is maybe a plan outside of Ben Proto, meaning why complain about what he's not doing if indeed you can do it yourself? Right? Kurt Kavanaugh, called the program Friday when he said something along the lines of, he doesn't even know what GOP Central does. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that Kurt doesn't know what Central Command does? Central Command? Because when I want to know something, who did this, what, and where, and how, do you think I'm waiting for them to give me a call and say, hey, here, Reese, this is how I did it? No. I've got to get off my rumpus and go down and figure out what I need to figure out. Hey, folks, what do you do? Kurt Kavanaugh said that he's been around for what, 16 seasons, 16 years? Doesn't seem to know what they do? That doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, just doesn't. But he's been able to win his race. Look, he's been able to maintain without knowing what they do. I guess he doesn't see its necessity. Okay. But it shouldn't be a complaint. That's something you could remedy all on your own. Accepting the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things that I can. That's all it's about. And I don't care. It doesn't matter what you think of Ben Proto. It doesn't. What does matter is, what are you doing? What role are you playing? Figure that out. Work on the things that you can change. Ben Proto, let's get to that. Can I tell you the biggest problem with Ben Proto? And he expressed it on this show. Notice his biggest problem? He's tired of listening to the complaints. He's sick of it. He's grown so angered by them, incensed by them. He stopped listening. He believes that the criticisms against him are unfounded. Probably because they're cruel, mean, and insensitive. Yeah, that comes with the territory. But when you get to the point where you are so bittered by those comments that you stop listening, you no longer engage. If you're doing the job in an isolationist role, I'm not listening to those people online because they're vile, because it's a cesspool. I've determined the criticism in that space is cruel and unwanted and not needed. I'm just going to operate. And therefore, what happens? That creates the friction. Because everybody who's online said, he's not listening to us. And Ben Proto says, no, that's because I'm not listening to you. If everything online is a criticism to him, if everything online is going to malign him, if everything online is supposed to be made to attack him, he's not going to listen. That doesn't mean that you're not critical of him. It just means, what are you doing online if this is the only way that you can reach him? What are you doing? Ben Proto, on the other hand, cannot be so thin-skinned about that. He has got to be able to take that criticism and keep walking with it. Listen where it applies, ignore where it does not. He has got to let the folks know that what they care about means something to him too. As I expressed to him here, if he does not control the narrative about him, others will write it for him, which is clearly what was shown online over the weekend. Over this holiday weekend, everybody else just thinks it was meaningless for him to come on the show, which is baffling to me because so many people said, I can't wait till he comes to the show. Then he comes here, he does the whole song and dance, and afterwards they're like, it don't matter. Well, which is it? Figure it out. This whole flipping back and forth stuff, it's nonsense. I have to ignore it. Because I keep asking one simple question. What do you want? And if you don't know, stop talking. Please stop talking about what you want. If you keep changing every time. I mean, my wife gets like that sometimes. I want something to eat. Well, what do you want? I want meatloaf. I think I want pizza. No, you know what? I'd really go for a burger. Now, maybe some chicken wings. I have to deal with that. If you don't know what you want, please stop asking until you know what you want. Ben Proto's got to get a thick skin. You folks have to ask what you want. That's all. Simple and plain. People wanted the interview to happen here only for them to say, it was worthless. Okay, you can see it that way. I don't. Now, unlike most people, I won't let people set the narrative here. I will. I'll dictate the narrative on this show. So, while we're here, let's talk. I want to hear from people who've won something. With all due respect, I want to hear from people who've solved problems. That's all. In order for you to be a critic, you gotta win. You gotta know that you won. And you have to use that winning strategy in the future. I've spent a lot of time dealing in this medium with people who know nothing about it, telling me how to win in it. People come to me all the time and say, Reese, you should do this on the show. What show have you done? Well, I've never done a show. Well, until you've done a show, keep your criticisms to yourself. Why do you do such and such? I have my reasons. I owe you an answer why. Well, it bothers me sometimes when you... Okay, and this means what? Where have you done any of this to criticize what it is you don't and do like? I know that people want Ben Proto to be the bad guy. He already is. in a lot of people's minds. They have decided who he is, and they are sticking to it. Sometimes hatred or dislike is blind. You've made that decision, and I give you that. But in the end, it means nothing. Here's why. The whole thing is bigger than Ben Proto. Making it Ben Proto gives you the opportunity to avoid the bigger thing. It's perspective. If you bring Ben Proto closer to your eyes, you forget everything outside of Ben Proto. If you push Ben Proto back, you can see the other problems that exist. You guys have decided to put blinders on. Not that Ben Proto doesn't have his own problems. Trust me, he does. Ben Proto's got a lot of problems. He ain't perfect. But neither are you. None of us are. We're trying to get someplace. That's the point. We are trying to get someplace. We are trying to achieve something. I wish to achieve those things. I will achieve those things. The naysayers will be who they are, but they motivate me. The people who have given up or decided to throw it out the window, what's the good is it? Nothing for you. I don't care if you don't want to participate. As the old saying goes, if you have to make an announcement that you're leaving, no one knew you were there. I'm here to win. I am going to win. And my win has nothing to do with Ben Proto. My win has to do with accomplishing something that I believe is of great importance. Don't you see it that way? Don't you see how important it is? Don't you see how dire it is? Don't you know how desperate it is? Well, if you believe in it, you'll join me and the others who are trying to get it there. If you just want to be angry, if you just want to moan and complain, that's okay. There's a slot for you there. But please do not expect the rest of us to stop so we can listen to you banter about it. We're looking for people who wish to be engaged and to get something done. It's not a criticism, folks. It's not even bashing. But let's be honest. I don't need Ben Proto. Ben Proto needs me. Ben Proto needs you. But Ben Proto is not the crux of all of this. He's just another wheel like the rest of us. That's all. So I'm hoping that you'll join me in that effort. If you want to call me, you want to talk about it, tell me where I got it wrong, of course I'm willing to listen. That's what the phone lines are for. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
Okay, there we go. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC. You know, I'm sitting here in the studio and I'm putting lotion on my body. And the reason why was because I said I put lotion on my body. I put them on my hands and my arms, which are part of my body. You have to take it so suggestively. Anyway, nonetheless, the reason why I'm doing it is because it's so cold and dry out in Connecticut. When I was in Texas, you go outside, your body's glistening because it's like sweat, like 20 minutes you're outside. Not probably less than that. You never have to put any lotion on. So here, like, it's because it's so cold and you take a shower, your body just gets dry. I got to put lotion on. I've never done it just so often it's been a while since I've done the whole lotion thing. Now I'm looking for it. Everywhere. I want to read a comment from Matty O. Matty O says, Reese, let me ask you a question. Why is it so mean to ask Ben Proto to help us help you and make it easier for us to reach out and help candidates? How is that unfair? I don't think I'm saying anything about anything being unfair. By the way, the word fair, we need to learn something about that. Fair is subjective. There is no objectivity in fair. What's fair to you may not be fair to someone else. There is no rudimentary, basis of which we have fairness. But no, I get that people are saying, Ben, I don't think you're helping me. Tell me, and Ben to go, all right, how am I not helping you? And you hashing that out. That, of course, is something he should answer. Say, hey, Ben, even if it's after an election, we could have used this, Ben, because we didn't get this, that, and the third. Right? And then Ben can counter that. But you got to have a discussion. But people who I hear online, and the people who I'm talking to, they know who I'm talking to. Okay? And that is the people who have completely written off everything. It doesn't matter. They're all in bed together. But I want to win. You're not helping. And you obviously have no intent on helping. If you're tapped out, right? If you're tapped out by saying, the whole thing's rigged, how can I come to you and expect you to help us win? You have no enthusiasm to win. You've already checked out. You said, I'm done. These people don't care about us. It's a uniparty, blah, 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 blah. How am I going to look at you as for the answer for us to win? You're busy trying to tell me, what's your job in all of this? Are you convincing me it's an unwinnable, Reese? They're all in bed together. I don't even know why you try. Now, just think about that scenario. You dealing with me. What do you know about me? What have you gathered about me so far? Do I seem like the guy who's just going to lie down and just going to say, well, I guess that's just it? Do I look like that guy? No. But it's okay for you to sit in the background and go, yeah, just watch him. He'll learn. Okay. And if I do, I'll come back. And I'm that kind of guy. I'm the kind of guy that would come back and just go, you know what, dude? You were right. The whole thing is lost. Why do we bother? I'll come back and I'll say that. The likelihood that it happens sooner than later? No. I am going to try anything and everything. And I'm going to try to convince folks. Ben Proto said something interesting. He's talking about two people sitting on a talk show talking about the Republican they're going to vote for. Who did they convince? Well, it's a good point in theory. The two people who are on the phone have already decided they're going to vote. But what is my role here? My role is to talk to people who aren't going to vote for said candidate and to make a case for why. Other than the other guy is garbage, other than the other guy is going to ruin your life, no, is to explain in detail with evidence. And that's where a lot of people have lost this. They've lost the art of what our job is here. If we're going to be the influencers, as it were, to tell people why they should vote here or there, if you think that that's our job, the way that we're going to do that is we're going to have to produce the evidence that suggests here's who they are, here's who our guy is, and this is why, if we're in the business of doing that. I am not in the place where, and everybody knows this because I have no allegiances. They know this. Everybody does. I am in the business of getting to the bottom of stuff, to really, really airing out the facts, even if my party ends up being the joke. Even if my party ends up being the ones that are lying or deceiving or not being, I'll just say reputable for that matter, that's my job here. But people who are constantly, and I saw this all through my comments, talking about, it's a lost cause. My question to you is, who are you trying to convince? That's my question. Who are you trying to convince? And if it is a lost cause, why are you expressing that it's a, what's the purpose of that? It is obviously to tell people to stop bothering, right? It's obviously to tell people that, look, the jig is up. There's no reason for you to care. Things are the way that they are. And this is my point when I say tell the truth about what you were intending on doing. Ben and I were talking about the term unaffiliated and why that rubs us the wrong way. Let's explain it. Real simple. If you're unaffiliated, why do you care about Republican politics? If you're unaffiliated, why do you care about Republicans winning? If you're unaffiliated, why aren't you rooting for Democrats to win? Why aren't you down the middle on everything? Why aren't you supporting Democrats here and supporting some Republicans there? You're unaffiliated. If you're being unaffiliated because you don't want to be associated with the Republican Party but still have conservative values, then that's something different. But bragging about being unaffiliated seems suspect to me. Now think about that. Now, I know Mark in West Hartford is listening, so he'll take that personal, and we'll get through it. We'll fight for a little bit. But like I said, I wouldn't lie to him anyway. I'm not in the business of lying to him. That's my boy, and he knows that I'm his boy, and he's my boy in the sense of I would never lie to him. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I am the real and genuine article. But when I hear somebody say that they're unaffiliated, I go, in what way? Are you still a conservative? Well, yes, I am. Then you're affiliated. That's all. It's that simple. I'm unaffiliated. Does that mean you support some Democrats? Oh, hell no. Then you're conservative. You're affiliated. Now, I heard some ramblings about that or online as well. That's why I'm unaffiliated. That's why I'm unaffiliated. What does that mean in the grand scheme? That you don't want to be a part of the whole Republican-Democrat thing? I hear that story all day. Why? You ashamed to be a Republican? Republicans in Connecticut are just not the hard-knock Republican that you're used to? Well, do you think it's going to improve by leaving? I don't understand how that works. When I came to Connecticut, I told everybody here, I am a conservative, hardcore. My mentor told me I make him sound like a liberal. That's what he said. That guy makes me sound like a liberal. That's what Rush said about me. I'm not sitting up here sugarcoating anything, dancing around like a lot of people do. You got to do it this way. You got to have to listen to that. Blah, blah, blah. Why would I be phony? I don't have to be. I'm not running for anything. But I know who I am as a conservative, and I don't take any guff from these liberals who keep running around talking this nonsense and that nonsense. They're hypocrites. All of them. They always have been. They always will be. And worst off, they're liars. Plus, I tell them to their face that they're liars. And liberals, if you're listening, progressives, if you're listening, you know you're liars. If you weren't lying, you couldn't breathe. So I don't have to sit here and lie. You can run every silly little game by me. Well, what about this and what about that? I'll just go, yeah, and what? What about the poor? What about them? I never heard a thank you. When are they going to say thank you? What do you mean? Being poor means you no longer have manners? I don't play the games that the other people play. But what I will tell you to do, at the end of the day, you become more like me. After a while, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get sick and tired of ducking and hiding about who you are. Those who duck and hide become obsolete. They become invisible. What they believe in no longer matters. What they're fighting for is obsolete. The progressive win when you go into hiding. Trying to explain this to folks. But like I told you before, I'm in the business of fighting. I'm in the business for fighting what I believe in. I'm in the business of getting things done. I know I can lose. But those are learning lessons for me. They will always be learning lessons for me. Trust me, I've been through a lot of them. That's the way I look at it. So, with that, who's this? Rob? Okay, Rob, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Pam Bondi, but
I'm not interested, Rob. Thanks, though. Was I talking about Pam Bondi? Who the hell is Pam Bondi to this show? Eric Erickson can talk about Pam Bondi. Call during his show. We're not talking about Pam Bondi, Rob. Did he think he was going to come in and just like, I want to talk about, well, talk amongst yourselves. In fact, get a tape recorder Talk about Pam Bondi to yourself. Ow, that was cold. I'm sorry. It's not nice. I know it's not nice, but I don't care. I don't care. Rob's trying to be famous. That's all right. Go be famous, buddy. Go be famous. When we come back, why do the Democrats want drugs in the inner city? Why? I've got to ask the question. Why do Democrats want blacks and brown folks on drugs, killing themselves? Why do they want it? You heard all the nonsense about the Pete Hegseth is a war criminal, right? Because he said, yeah, don't even leave them alive. According to them, that's what Pete Hegseth said. Yeah, kill them all. What, they're not dead? Finish them off. That's what they're telling us now. And people are running around like that's the gospel. He said it. He committed war crimes. These folks said that? Who believes that? Who believes that? Who believes that Pete Hegseth committed war crimes? I heard you all talking about it today, even Eric Erickson. If he did. You guys are desperate for a story, aren't you? That's okay. I'll give it to you. We'll return. Stand by. Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, we got our audio back. And what it was somebody who was sitting over at the other counter, unplugged the audio plug that we had there and plugged in their headphones for some odd reason. And when we come in back on a Monday, that's detrimental because if people can't hear online, they leave. And so I had to put a sticker on it that says do not touch. It's like putting your food in a refrigerator with a do not touch sign. It's just so tacky. Stop lying. Did they ever find the culprit? That figures. So yeah, we're finally back. Zach is in the chat room. He says war crimes are stupid anyway. I understand why they exist, but they aren't enforceable. I have to move this closer to me. There we go. They aren't enforceable. Are they even real? No one is going to arrest Bibi. No one is going to arrest Putin. And they just feel a feel-good measure. I agree with that, Zach. I think you're 100% on point with that. Like Mamdani talking about how he's going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu should he step foot in New York. Like at the UN? Whoo, boy. I would love to see that. That I would love to see. Just absolutely be incredible. It'd be incredible to watch. Anyway, so yeah, we're back, guys. Thank you for checking out the show on YouTube and on X. I got to give a shout out to Kevin Maggott, a good friend of mine from back in the day. Kevin should be listening now. Kevin actually is he's in Washington, D.C. He's a lobbyist of all things, but he works with veterans. He's a Navy vet and a good friend of mine from way, way back in the days, always been by my side. He is a liberal, believe it or not, and a crazy liberal. And I had talked to him in a while, and he called me up, and he was just like, are you MAGA? And I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, come on. I'm like, yeah. And then he says that what can only be described as like and they do this to me all the time. Can I help you? I want to help you if you've ever been asked this question. If you are asked this question ever in your life, I'm going to give you the perfect answer for it. Kevin says, so you MAGA? I'm like, yes, I'm MAGA. He goes, you tell me, when was America ever great? And I it was like when he said it, I'm sitting up there going, it was like a soft pitch, underhanded watermelon coming straight at me. I said, now I'm going to hit this thing out of the park. And I stop and I wait for him to answer the question, when has America ever been great? And I said, November 2008. I remember every one of you Negroes dancing in the street in Harlem and Brooklyn. as Barack Hussein Obama became the president of the United States. America was a great day. And then it was also another great time for America in 2012 when he won again. Yes, I remember America was absolutely great to Negroes far and wide. And his response was, what was it great before then? And I said, November 1992. When William Jefferson Clinton became president of the United States, and again, he didn't know what to do with himself. But they never know what to do with themselves. He was like, I should have known better than to ask you. Yes, you should have known better. You didn't think you were going to ask me that ridiculous question and I wasn't going to come up with a great answer. He knows damn well when Barack Obama won, he was dancing in the street. He was opening up a Hennessy bottle or some E&J somewhere. Come on, Kevin, you know you were. Dancing in the streets, celebrating, popping bottles. The nightclub must have been lit. Didn't they have a whole rap song about that, Roland? My president is black, my Lambo's blue. Yeah, Young Jeezy, that's what it was. My president is black, my Lambo's blue. Yeah, I remember the whole thing. I remember it. Y'all were going nuts, making rap songs about it. Ludacris was talking about painting the White House black. I remember the whole thing. It was fascinating. Kevin Megan. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm so glad. He's going to actually be on the show. He's going to talk about some of the things he's doing in Washington. Oh, I would have loved it. Yes, burn it down. If Barack Obama would have lost in 2008, are you kidding me? They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. How do you not? There were people who were threatening that they were going to do it if he did lose. That right then and there, I mean, it was almost like inevitable. He had to win just to save the republic. People get mad at me when I say that, but they even get, they get even angrier with me in 2016 when I was posting "The experiment is over." That was the one that it made people mad. What you trying to say? Well, I'm only going based upon what you guys said in 2008. They don't remember, but this is what they said. They said, we've had white presidents all this time. Why don't we let a black man be one for once? So I responded by saying, the experiment is over. Because that's what it was. That's what people thought that our republic was, an experiment. Let's just try it. Okay, experiment over. 8 years. Let's get back to basics. Yes, that's right. Back to the white guy. Oh, don't get mad. Calm down. Calm down, liberals. I'm just using your words against you. That's all I'm doing. You set the stage. I dance for you. Let's get to some news and traffic. Bob Brown is in the building. It's Reese on the radio.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Yeah, let's get to some headlines. Senator Chris Murphy looking out for the folks of Hartford, in his hometown, that is, of Hartford. He's going to be bringing holiday cheer with some Christmas lights. That's right. He's putting thousands of lights on the South Green at the busy intersection of Main Street. That is 1 block from the Hartford Hospital. And this is supposed to be a repeat of the December 2020 lighting that he did with some money that he was able to get donated. Apparently this time it was with a group called the Spanish American Merchants Association. They're also donating or helping this whole fundraiser get propped up so that they can put Christmas lights for a struggling neighborhood. They would probably like money, but at least they get lights. Chris Murphy doing his best to give the folks near Barnard Park some lights. We're going to go down to the area on Wednesday, if not Thursday, to talk to the folks there and see if they're really, really happy with the lights, because he says that, this is for a struggling community, to give them the spirit of Christmas. I would think that the lights wouldn't compensate for the fact that they can't afford gifts for their, hey, kids, I can't get you anything for Christmas, but guess what? I've got lights. I don't know. We'll talk to some folks out there as well to see their reaction to the lights. A guy by the name of Dr. Vin Gupta of MSNBC, he's getting a lot of guff because last month he said something that blew everybody's mind about the cognitive abilities of President Donald J. Trump, but seemed to be almost baffled when people were questioning the cognitive abilities of Joe Biden. Here it is Dr. Vin Gupta talking about Joe Biden after his abysmal performance in the one and only debate with Donald Trump. This was Vin Gupta talking about Joe Biden.
Cardiovascularly, he's in excellent shape. I'm a pulmonologist. I see this all the time in octogenarians. I think he's actually quite high functioning as an octogenarian and keeping up that schedule. And so, just from this is a subjective conversation. Zeke is offering his opinion. I can tell you what I see in my own clinic and what I see clinically. I think Joe Biden is actually quite robust relative to what we see normal aging at 81.
Yes, he said that Joe Biden was quite robust in July of last year after the abysmal debate performance. Last month, Dr. Vin Gupta said this about Donald Trump and his cognitive abilities just last month.
It's clear that there's age-related cognitive decline. I mean, that's obvious. His response to somebody fainting in the Oval Office really conveyed that. He didn't show any signs of concern. He didn't really do anything. He was slow to respond. And that slowness and fatigue you're seeing more and more in his public events. So that's one. Two, he's confused a lot. Three, he sometimes mumbles sort of incoherent nonsense when he's asked a question in the press pool in the Oval Office. So all these things, when this constellation of just him being him.
He actually said all of this, but that wouldn't have been the worst. I mean, that would have been bad enough if he hadn't said this about Donald Trump. While he laid all that out, Donald Trump didn't respond to somebody fainting in the room. Like Donald Trump's running over there like a medic. He didn't respond enough to, and now he says things that are absolutely incomprehensible. I don't know. But this is all, how he ended this is astonishing.
Imagine if President Biden did any of those things.
So, yeah, he's getting a lot of backlash, Dr. Vin Gupta. Just, again, every industry, just no matter where you look, you cannot trust these people. They're all a bunch of liars. Just bad actors, every one of them. Dr. Steve says you shouldn't call people evil. Fine, just liars. Is liars okay, Dr. Steve? You let me know if I can. Hundreds of state workers at the Minnesota Department of Human Services have publicly excoriated Governor Tim Walz for allowing a massive fraud scandal to unfold under his watch and retaliating against the whistleblowers. Over $1 billion in taxpayers' money was fleeced by dozens of scammers in Minnesota's Feeding Our Future fraud scandal, the largest known COVID-19 fraud case in the country. By the way, do you notice that all of this COVID money, as soon as you find out that politicians, Democrats, were involved, there was a lot of fraud and thievery? Huh? That there was a lot of fraud and thievery? That they stole a whole lot of money? It's astonishing to me. Tim Walz, quote, Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation. The account has been charged. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering who we could turn to. Just last week, the Justice Department prosecuted the 78th defendant in what prosecutors have dubbed the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. At least 59 people have been convicted so far. During the last 5 years, fraudsters targeted Minnesota's generous social safety net by setting up companies that billed the state for social services that prosecutors alleged never actually provided. This is one of the interesting parts about it. The fraud largely revolved around dozens of people in the Somali diaspora. Minnesota is home to about 80,000 Somali Americans. And that's who these people benefited. Those are the people they said that they were helping with billions of dollars. Now, I'm just going to ask this before I go on into the stupidest thing I read today. But think about this. We imported all of these Somalis into this town. And they used $1 billion. They just spent $1 billion in helping those folks. And at the same time, you got guys like Crying Negro Brother Bakari Sellers on CNN talking about how these folks contribute, I said with air quotes, contribute to the very fabric of America. Contribute? These folks are on the dole. These folks are collecting taxpayer dollars. What are they contributing to? The fleecing of America? Yeah, if you consider that contributing, you're 100% right there, Bakari. They're contributing, all right. Contributing to its downfall. That's what exactly they're doing. 80,000. And these folks are collecting billions, feeding their own, who are not contributing to society at all. That's what we got. That's exactly what we got for $1 billion. And Tim Walz helped them do it. Let's get to the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Now, with everybody in Connecticut trying to get myself and my wife involved in pickleball, which I'm actually excited to do. Mailman Mike came by the other day, brought my wife and I 2 paddles, one pink, one blue. Pickleball is blowing up, and I had a feeling it was going to. But sadly enough, one of the dumbest debates is happening. And I can't believe it. Pickleball banning. Did you hear about this? This is a real thing. There are pickleball bannings that are happening across Connecticut. In Westport, there's an active moratorium on new conversions. Residents petitioned to halt tennis to pickleball overlays at Campo Beach. Noise from 4 courts audible by 300 plus feet away. They have 200 signatures on a petition. Planning and zoning delayed approval and quality of life lawsuit threats. Pickleballers counter, it's quieter than tennis. In Richfield, zoning amendments under review. HOA in Farmingville Hills sues to block 2 private courts, claim they violate 50 decibel quiet hours. Elderly players rallied at selectmen's meeting with paddles in hand. One resident called it an oral assault. Case heads to court in January of next year. In Glastonbury, petitions for 6 months of a 6-month building freeze. Neighbors near River Highlands Park oppose expanding 8 courts to 12. The pop sound carries to homes a quarter of a mile off. 150 signatures have been formed to a recreation noise task force. Pro Pickleball Group started a GoFundMe for sound barriers. They have raised $5,000. In Darien, of course in Darien, they restricted hours, permits only. New and dedicated courts without variance, existing ones at Weed Beach, limited to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's sparked by a viral Nextdoor thread. Over 500-plus replies. Locals joke it's the new leaf blower war. And in New Canaan, finally, the petition is circulating, a push to cap private residential courts at 1 per lot. Noise from a backyard setup prompted 20 complaints. The affluent twist says that hedge funds, dads, and a yoga teacher mom feud. The town hall devolved into a shouting match over the right to quiet enjoyment. It is, again, being called the dumbest argument or debate happening in Connecticut today. Speaking of which, I've got some other stories going on about Connecticut that I found is interesting. It's a question about whether or not New Yorkers are moving to Connecticut. It's which age group is moving in. And then another story about that dovetails into another story about state troopers who are moving out of state. So both of them sort of contrast. We'll get to that in a minute. Steve is in Andover. Hello, Steve.
Hey, good afternoon.
What's up, buddy?
Couple things. So listening to your Sanjay Gupta thing reminds me of the line from Airplane where I picked a bad week to stop sniffing glue. Wow.
Isn't that weird that he would actually go on television and compare those two men in that fashion?
It's just staggering. Yeah. What do you call the lowest, ranking member of any medical class? You still got to call him doctor. So,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. But getting back to the beginning of your show, you asked about drugs and Democrats.
Yeah.
So this is something I've been kind of talking to people about for a while.
Okay.
And a drugged, medicated, drunk, gambling society is easy to control.
Indeed.
And people get lost in the sauce of freedom. I should be free to do this stuff in a libertarian sort of attitude when they fail to realize that there's an agenda behind it by those in power. And those in power tend to claim it's for the money. We'll tax the marijuana. We'll put taxes on the cigarettes. We'll take a cut from the gaming, whatever happens to be. So, the non-thinking people go, oh, we can help our budgets with this, and this money's going to go to our schools, which it never does.
Right.
But whatever. So it's a big sham. But the people in power know that if you get people wrapped up in these vices, and that's what they are traditionally, then they aren't going to pay attention to the politics. They aren't going to pay attention to a state like Connecticut that's swirling around the bowl with rights being taken away regularly and taxes going up and everything else because of the Dems in power. All people say is, well, we're making money off the weed. You know what I mean? Or the younger generation goes, oh, I should have the right to smoke this and burn out my brain with 25 to 35% THC now.
Right.
And people just get lost in it. But again, that populace is very easy to control when they are wrapped up in these vices, and people totally don't get that.
You know what? You're making a good point, because here's the crazy part about all of that, right? Think about the things that they're promoting in these neighborhoods. And again, they're not black or brown or white. They're just poor, right? They're poor neighborhoods. So they're promoting cigarettes, liquor, and gambling, and marijuana, all of which are addictive, right? All of which, without a doubt, they are all addictive. And the core word in all of this, and I'll throw in the other drug that nobody mentions, government. Why are all of those things addictive? Because they make the user dependent. And that's the plan.
Yes. And then obviously you're right. At the end, the solution has to be the government, when in fact, the government is the culprit to begin with.
That's right.
And again, we can have the whole argument about the libertarian side of things. I understand that. But again, from its core, again, you get people who are wrapped up in those vices, or any vices.
Right.
They are not going to pay attention to what the government's doing. That is the goal, I believe, of the government.
Let me say something about the libertarian thing, because I know you don't want to go into that, but I will look at it this way, because I think this is a fair argument to make towards libertarians. Libertarians honestly do believe, the thought process in all of this is that a man should be free to make choices on his own. He has the cognitive ability and the agency to make those decisions on their own. We are not saying that poor people don't have agency. That is not. But we do understand that usually if you set up a particular group of people, usually poor, to make them believe that there is no possible way that you could become affluent or rich or wealthy or any of those things, you will usually use the things that they will become dependent on. And in essence, they no longer have agency or dominion of their own lives. They go to the low-hanging fruit, which you provide for them.
Right, which can be, like I said, your local liquor store and your scratch-off ticket.
That's right.
Like those two things right there have sunk many a life. And now we add weed to it, again, super powerful weed, and watch those lives even go further into the toilet because now you've attracted a whole sort of different demographic,
right?
You know, but here's the ultimate hypocrisy. They jump up and down, and our favorite Attorney General, Mao Zedong, who jumps up and down and says, "Oh, we're going to save the children from vaping," but yet you've basically provided them with secondhand, super powerful weed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, okay, save them from the vaping, and yet they're still going to burn out their brains on something else. So
no pushback on the marijuana dispensaries, right? No pushback on the marijuana dispensaries, but vaping is the problem.
Right, and it's all government spin. And just one more thing I'll leave you with.
Yes,
I was up in Maine a couple of weeks ago, deer hunting for a couple of weeks. And at night, I'm sure you're aware of AM skip. Even up in that Bangor to Moosehead area, I was able to listen to you at night. Driving around, if we went out to dinner or something, I could pick up TIC clearer than I can pick it up in a lot of central Connecticut. It was
really?
So oh, yeah. I would listen to you at night. I was just dying going, hey, TIC's on, almost 400 miles away, and I can hear it clearer than I can hear it in central Connecticut. Explain that to me.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, it is a nighttime thing, but I'll tell you that. That's usually why. The frequencies are clearer for some odd reason. That's exactly right.
Right, you get that AM skip off the atmosphere. I understand it. It's just kind of funny. So
yeah, it is. It's hilarious. Thanks, man.
All right, man.
You have a good one. That's a good call. Yeah, look, I'll tell you right off the bat, that marijuana thing or that drug thing that he's talking about, I'm going to get into it in a second. Democrats cannot help but show themselves. And then, Kevin, as I was talking about earlier, Kevin Maggott was calling in, and he was talking about like that, what Donald Trump is doing with the drug boats. He's wrong. And the first thing I said to him was like, so let me get this right. You do believe that Ronald Reagan, infiltrated your communities, right? He laced your communities with crack cocaine so that he could put, these mandatory minimums on you, right? So he can put you in prison, right? He did that to you so he could actually drug up an entire community, right? Didn't he? And he's like, yeah, that happened. I said, so Donald Trump blows up the drug boat before it even reaches our shores. And you have a problem with that now? They're no longer in your communities, right? He's deterring the evil from coming in and poisoning your community. How do you square that? Make that make sense to me. Do you want the drugs or you don't? And this was my earlier point in the beginning of the show. I hear everybody talking about what they don't want, but never telling me what they do. They seem to be confused about what they do. And when you lay it out and say, tell me that you want the drugs in the community or you want them to ever stop coming to the border. Tell me what you want. And there's a whole lot of Ralph Cramden, humana, coming out of people. Well, figure it out, man. Figure it out. Donald Trump saving your community, or is he hurting it? Maybe the truth is you do want the drugs there. Maybe the truth is you don't want to hurt anybody who might be, getting his crack on, feeding his children, crack rocks and all that other good stuff. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. Your phone calls, 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio.
Hey, whoa. Hold up. 100 candles on the cake? Who do you think's lighting this?
Hey, we're back. Reese on the radio. And I got to read a story in a little bit that I'm going to give you. It's probably a story that you're not going to read in a lot of places. But if you are a wonk like I am when it comes to the news media, this story is only going to infuriate you. And I totally understand that it will. It involves the FDA and the COVID vaccine. And We'll read it. We'll just read it in the next hour or so. Plus, of course, we'll take your phone calls. If you are covering that story or you've been thinking about that story, if you read it today, you can call up and we'll take your calls about that as well. There was a shooting over the weekend. Did you guys hear about it in Stockton, California? I did. And being the person that I am, things were bothering me about this story. And it was fascinating that no one talked about it. At the time it took place, sure, exhaustive media went live. Kids were killed. And you saw the flashing lights, the reporters there with the cameras, absolutely dumbstruck. What happened? Oh, my goodness. Children died. And then nothing. A shooting. A mass shooting involving children. Have you watched the news in the last, 48 hours maybe? What coverage? What suspects? What outrage? Where are the calls for gun control? Have you seen any? I have not. And nobody finds, again, mass shooting. 3 children murdered, ages 8, 9, and 14. Murdered. A 21-year-old also killed. 11 others wounded. Nothing? In Stockton, California? I mean, barely a blip. And no one, where's Chris Murphy? Where are all the gun control advocates? Where are all the grandstanders who are screaming and hollering about how we need more gun control? And they got nothing. And it made me wonder, wait a minute, why? What's going on? So I started searching and I asked, hey, who are the victims? The news media said they haven't released who they are. Really? Nothing? No names? No identifiers? No. Did they say it was gang-related even? No. Did they say it was some sort of misfit with like some mental illness, Perhaps he has Asperger's, or maybe there's some sort of mental deficiency. Was it a transgender even? No. Police have been tight-lipped about the perpetrators. Well, anything on the victims? What about the children? They're ages 8, 9, and 14. Shouldn't we know who they are, or even something about the grieving families? So perhaps we can show some support, send out our prayers for them, possibly help them with funeral arrangements or something like that? No, we're afraid that there's not a lot of information about that. Something, I don't know, folks. It's something about that didn't sit well. So I had to go there. It wasn't on me. I wanted information. I think it's important to get the information. So I looked it up. We did find out that the 21-year-old victim is identified as Susano Archuleta. The names of the 8, 9, and 14-year-olds have not been released. However, a 9-year-old wounded survivor appears to be a gentleman by the name Emmanuel Lopez, his daughter. We started looking up some of the other names of folks that were associated with this, and many of them had Hispanic last names. And then I started to wonder, did that have anything to do with the fact that they didn't mention the names? That they didn't seem to investigate, or no one seemed to care about gun laws? Because that would be weird to me, that because the individuals who were murdered were Hispanic, they didn't want to draw any attention to gun legislation. That just didn't make sense to me, right? Who would do that? Did the victims have to be white in order for that to happen? Is that it? Did they have to be white or Christian in order for us to start screaming and hollering about legal gun owners who need to have more laws to prevent them from having guns? Because that would have made that always seems to be the case. But here, they have people with Hispanic names. The community of Stockton is 47% Hispanic or Latino. It's 21% Asian, 17% white, and 11% black. I started to go on a couple of people's Twitter feeds. People who have been associated in some way with the violence that took place in Stockton. 60% of the posts tied the victims to Latino gangs. Yes, that's right. Some of them are also tying them to Filipino gangs. Apparently, according to many people in Stockton, the two groups intermingle. When asked, and I searched, about any of the victims being of African American descent, we came up 0. That's right. People that thought that it had been associated with Bloods or Crip gangs. It came up 0. They were asked if there were any white victims. That also came up 0. Isn't that odd? Mass shootings that involve children normally leads any headline, even on Fox. We got nothing. Just figured I'd bring it up. Let's go to Sam in Windsor. Hello, Sam.
Hey, Reese. How are you, man?
I'm all right. What's up?
So I just shot you a text with an article that brings up the name of Amari Peterson, a teen who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time in Stockton.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the 14 or the 21-year-old.
Okay, this was the, let me see, Stockton mass shooting manhunt underway after 4 killed. It was 11-year-old's birthday party. Oh, 11-year-old was injured at the child's birthday party. Okay. And you said that I'm sorry, I missed the first part you said.
If you read down in that article to the third paragraph, family of 14-year-old identified him as Amari Peterson.
Okay. Now, that's the only person who does not have a Hispanic or Latino last name.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Which I find very interesting. I wish we could just go back to the bare knuckle fight days.
Yeah, you and me both. Remember when that used to be the standard? A bunch of kids roughhousing each other with fisticuffs.
Yeah. I mean, no one died. People got some black eyes and whatever, but no one died.
Yes.
Crying out loud,
I want to return to the days of Pony Boy.
Absolutely.
That's an outsider's reference for you folks that don't know that one. I'm just saying that would have been, when the kids come home and they'd be dragging them home after he got beat down, by a couple of rival gang members. That's, that's what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. The good old days.
Indeed. So, yeah.
Thrive on for justice, my friend. Have a good day.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, let's go to somebody who I haven't talked to in a while. I wanted to hold her over. Kim, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Now, Kim, are you calling about this COVID thing?
No, not
okay.
About COVID. I was saying, but I'm a news wonk as well.
Oh, yeah. Of course you are.
The only place I saw that reported was Gateway Pundit. We talked about that.
That's right.
You'll get it on right-wing sources, but you won't get it on the left. A couple other things I wanted to talk about is Chris Murphy taking credit for the lights and the nice decorations. I've been around that area quite a bit near Hartford Hospital.
Yeah.
And I've noticed about 7 or 8 years ago that it looked very nice. It's a nice Christmas decorating theme or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm laughing now. He's going to donate 1,000 lights, or he's taking credit for
Yeah,
this.
he's taking credit for it. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's been there for 7 years, just about the time when Chris Murphy was telling you how we should root for Ukraine, even though he knew more than anybody else how U.S. taxpayers' money was being wasted over there and all the corruption over there. And getting back to Ukraine, one thing. I happened to watch General Flynn.
Yeah.
Who was on Steve Bannon's show, I don't know, last Friday or whatever.
Okay.
And he has come to the same conclusions that I've been reporting to this radio station for years.
What's that?
This will make sense to a lot of things. So the globalists who run hedge funds and all
Sure.
that, a long time ago, they had gotten a hold of the intelligence communities of Russia. And the intelligence communities worked for them. And Putin to this day says his country fell when the intelligence communities were committed treason. And that's exactly, it's a color revolution.
Yep.
I used to tell Jim Vicevich before I told Pastor Will, before I told Tom, and now I'm telling you. The color revolution has been going on for, 30 years or so, ever since George Soros was the number one operator of it. He's a hedge fund manager. He gets a hold of all your intelligence communities. And Putin tells you how to deal with it. Putin, I don't care if you like him or not, he's keeping Russia for the Russians and not Russians for the globalists.
That's correct.
He said he had to take the intelligence communities and totally get rid of them. So the conversation between Steve Bannon and General Flynn was, we got to dig down 50%. Steve Bannon saying 50% of the FBI has to go, 50% of the CIA has to go, and the DNI. No, it's not 50% because these people are very talented. The corrupt ones, the treasonous ones, will get into the 50%.
You're damn right they will.
And so Putin told you how to do it. You get rid of the KGB. There's no KGB, hasn't been there since Putin got into office. It's now they have an FSB and they have a GRU, a military intelligence, and he gave them the assignment. The GRU military has to spy on the FSB. FSB has to spy on the GRU military intelligence to keep everybody honest.
Keep them all.
And they get bonuses. And they get executed if they don't do their job.
Well, I don't know if that might be a bridge too far.
Yeah, well, we'll stick with the bonus for now.
Yeah, we'll get to the bonus.
I'll tell you, in 20 years from now, there will still be a Russia.
Yep.
There may not be United States. It will be called something else, and it will.
Oh, I hope you're wrong about that. And I get. Trust me. And the color revolution part, you're still 100% on that, Kim. And that's what my biggest fear about all of this, because it'll be a slow drip, if anything. I got to take a break, Kim. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You got it.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. I've got plenty of stories to get to. We'll talk about this FDA story as well when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
These breaks are getting shorter. Anyway, we're back. We'll have that story coming up in a little bit about the vaccines killing children. The Washington Post is reporting on that. Also, later on, there's this article I wanted to talk about last week, but the holiday came up on us so fast I never got a chance to. It's this story that people are calling a crisis. They're saying school's in crisis. And I'm like, okay, school's in crisis. Why are they in? I thought it was going to be a Linda McMahon story. But according to NBC Connecticut, they did a story talking about how budgets are going to be affected with the crackdown on immigration, and how these kids that normally would be filling up the schools are no longer going to be there, right? They're going to see a decrease in new students, and how that's going to affect the budgets. I'm going to break all that down. I did all of this stuff to break down why this is nonsense. And teachers out there, you guys are going to have to speak up one day. I know that you guys say, like, well, we got to stay silent. I get it. If you want to do it anonymously, find a way. to tell me anonymously, because I know that you guys are going to be happy about this, and you are happy about this decrease in enrollment in your school, especially by kids who do not speak English or with behavioral problems or, diseases. They do. A lot of those kids who came in, no vaccines for them, right? A lot of them came in here with these 20th century diseases. No matter what, their kids coming in with whooping cough. I'm not trying to be cruel here, but you know what I'm talking about, folks. You know damn well what I'm talking about. A lot of these kids came in here unvetted. A lot of them came in, could not speak the language. Made things harder for teachers in and around Connecticut. You guys know it. I hear from your husbands all the time. They tell me all the time, yeah, my wife's a teacher. Yeah, she can't really talk about it. But they tell me you guys are secretly happy about this. We'll talk about that as well. I'll stand by for that. And, of course, your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. We'll get into all of that. Also, Connecticut state troopers are retiring and relocating. Find out where they're going. And Connecticut is quietly becoming the new Florida for New York retirees. Let's find out if that story's nonsense. I think it might be bull. We'll talk about all of that and where these folks say that they're moving to. Well, they're the usual suspects. We'll break all that down. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic after the holidays and see what the roads look like on this Monday.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
As we do every Monday through Friday at this time, congratulations goes out to Gregory B. in Wethersfield. He is the recipient of the Between Rounds Dozen Bagels a Month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you'd like to win, you got to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Fill out your birth date. Make sure you fill out your telephone number. And you must live in the state of Connecticut and you cannot have won within 6 months of today in order to enter. Enter as many times as you like. I promise you they are all picked at random. But, of course, the more you enter, the higher chance of you to win. Yeah, that's kind of how that works because it's so random. It's like a raffle, which, by the way, I'm not a fan of. I don't do a raffle. I try to do a raffle, but I never win. They always say, it's like, you're never going to win unless you play. And I'm just like, well, what if I don't play? I don't have to worry about winning. Eliminate. That's what it's like the lotto. People's like, there's $1 billion out there. I was just like, yeah, but if I don't play, then I don't have to feel horrible when I lose. But at least with the Between Rounds, there's a chance of you winning. It's a better chance, I'm telling you. It's not like it's like you versus 14 million. Isn't it something like that? Isn't that always the odds? You've got a 1 in 100 million chance to win. Like, who likes those odds? I keep saying to myself, if I ever win, I'd probably have a heart attack. I would lose it. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's got weather and traffic out there. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Hey, guys, we are back. I'm going to get Ken in Marlboro real quick, and then I want to go into this drug thing and my view on all of this as far as like the narco-terrorist nonsense that people are turning this into, the Pete Hegseth craziness. I'll get into that in a second. Plus, I've got a soundbite with Caroline Levitt that I want to play before that. But let me get to Ken in Marlboro real quick. How you doing, Ken?
Ken, is this the complaint line?
Who are you complaining against?
I have a complaint because last week, I tried to get in there since then, but last week your show gave me a headache when you had that socialist alderman from New Britain on.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Nate Simpson gave you a headache?
Oh, my God. It was like our Connecticut version of Mondani.
Yeah, that's the reason why I had him on. It's because I tell people all the time that you have to listen to these folks to find out where they're from, like where they get these ideas and why they believe in them. So I kind of gave them the platform to do that. Now you understand. What in the end of it, Ken, what are you saying to yourself about socialists? Have they convinced you? Probably not.
Well, you were trying to get him to answer a question, any question.
Yes.
And he just would do this little dance around the issue and never come up with it. I love the part where essentially he said if you have a billionaire, they don't need any more money. They got enough.
Right.
Does that mean, are they going to drill that down to the point where if I have $10,000, that's all I need is just $10,000? That's
right.
all I need.
And who's the arbiter? That's the interesting part with these socialists, is that none of them are in concert with each other, at least having a plan. They believe that billionaires shouldn't exist, but when you actually make them double down on, or even explain to you, as I asked him, you might remember, I said, you're a billionaire. How much of every dollar, because I want to keep it as simple as possible, how much of every dollar would you tax? Is it 60 cents? Is it 90 cents? How much? And of course he would just say, well, that's all relative. And I'm like, no, it isn't. You guys should know this. And not having the ability or the gumption to even answer it shows exactly how serious these folks are. They're nothing more than complainers. And I wouldn't even go so far as that. It's just an idea. There's no way to implement because they wouldn't know how if they got the chance.
Well, what I get out of that particular question is basically once they feel you have enough wealth, you shouldn't garner any more.
Indeed. Right. And they're the arbiters of that. Right. And they could do it at any level, because remember when we had the conversation about Walmart versus Target, he believes that workers should have a percentage of what those folks make. But Walmart doesn't make the same amount of money as Target does. So I said, so what should the workers do on those two businesses? Do we have to have a blanket amount of money for each one of those workers to do? Is everybody working for the same amount? He couldn't answer that question either, because I said, should we have a blanket pay rate for all of the workers who are getting part of the revenue that comes to, or the profits that come to those companies? And he goes, well, that would all depend. I'm like, these guys don't have any ideas.
Well, there's a couple of books that should be mandatory reading in school. 1984 and Animal Farm.
Yes, and that's
Animal Farm is a perfect example of where if you recall the plot of that, the animals took over the farm from the farmers, and they were going to set up this thing where everybody gets equal, they all work, and all of a sudden one species started taking priority over the other and felt they were more important and more intelligent, and oh no, you should do the work because it got into this thing where and it ended up nobody did anything.
That's right. And that's exactly and that is the thing that they don't seem to understand, is that they keep telling us that they are going to be the virtuous of us all because we care more. And what always happens when you give that kind of power to folks, it absolutely corrupts them, because that's what power's about. He keeps saying we need to redistribute the power to the noble. They all become noble. They all are noble in the beginning. When they have no power, they are the noblest of noble. But then when they have it, not so much. Power is a powerful thing, as they say.
Well, I just had to call in because I've been trying to get through actually since last week.
That's okay.
I just had to tell you that interview was unbelievable. I think it was very telling. And if anybody who listened to that, if they walked away thinking, "Yeah, that guy's got it together. He knows what's going," no way.
Ken, can I tell you, one person did. I got a text message from and he said, and I quote, he goes, "That socialist really cleaned your clock." I went, what interview were you listening to? Anyway, that is how it goes, man. Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
You got it. I thought it was fantastic. I just thought it was fantastic. All right, let me get to this drug thing. So, let's go with starters. Everyone is telling you that Pete Hegseth and the President of the United States are committing war crimes against drug dealers. That's what they're telling you. They believe that these folks are just noble fishermen, or just regular schmoes, just doing a job. They got a 401k trying to feed their families. They don't see them as the enemy. Well, here's a couple of news anchors who, for some odd reason, never seem to know the law, but seem to have all of the questions, which, again, doesn't make sense. Like they didn't think that the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, would be prepared. So they come there empty-handed, not knowing the law before they ask a question, and think, for some odd reason, Caroline Leavitt wouldn't be prepared. Here's 3 examples of that. The first guy you're going to hear is Gabe Gutierrez, then Jackie Heinrich, and then Weijia Wang, both from NBC, Fox, all 3 from NBC, Fox, and CBS, respectively.
To clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
Now, you have to understand this, folks. This is very important for you to get. The angle of the American news media believes that these folks are not enemies. They see them as people who are doing a job because they can't feed their families. They don't see them as a criminal threat, a lethal threat, a terrorist threat. They don't see people like that. If they are from these third world countries, they see them as victims. Victims of the circumstance. They're being used by someone else. They did not make any decisions on their own. And if they suffer, if they face consequences for them, the news media looks at the administration for carrying out those strikes as being heavy-handed in doing so. Now, what they would rather you do is, shoot once, and if they're injured, they'll turn around. Fire a couple of times and give them an opportunity to go back. Don't use lethal force. Just scare them, and they'll turn around and they'll go home. If you fire a bullet, it should never be to kill. It should be just to scare instead of sending a clear message. That's the way the news media looks at this. It's the same case that they did, with the waterboarding. Abu Ghraib. They don't want any of these folks being treated in any bad way, right? Because they're just victims in all of this. And they care more about those folks who are, again, bringing in drugs that killed millions of people, that could kill millions of people. You and yours, that's, it's just the cost of doing business. It's the only way these people can survive. Some people have to die of drug overdoses. And who are we to judge people who might want to take fentanyl now and again? How dare us? That's the angle of the news media. They really want this story to have legs. They really, really want Pete Hegseth to have committed some crime. That a second strike was just too much. They were injured. You didn't have to do anything else. Like that's the way we go to war. that we're just supposed to fire to injure, not fire to kill. I believe that you should fire to kill. And people have to get used to that. Huh? You're going to have to get used to it. No, stop crying. Stop crying. You don't even know these people.
Jack. Thank you, Caroline. Following from Dave's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
So just to be clear, to clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
They don't understand it. Eliminate the threat. Eliminate. Not injure. Eliminate. They don't get that. Why? Kathy Heinrich, Weijia Wang, Gabe Gutierrez, what are they? Are they in the military? No. Have they ever had to neutralize a threat? No. At all. The only thing that they hear is they struck him a second time after they struck him the first time. Is that necessary? Is that overkill? I'm just asking one simple question. What do these people want? Do they want the drugs in our communities? Who do they want to protect more? Who do you want to protect more? Do you want to protect the inner cities from the scourge? What's the other thing that what's them used to call it? I can't remember what's the term he used to use all the time. Do they wish to help the communities that are affected the most by the drug trade? Do they care about those communities? Because look, people say that you don't want to put anybody in prison, right? They say they don't want people in prison anymore due to drug crimes. They don't want any more war on drugs. And the war on drugs used to be here, stateside, right? All of the war on drugs were us. We were running around with these task force, going into homes, grabbing people up. Remember that? Taking fathers away from families, locking them up for years for crack cocaine. While people who were arrested for powder cocaine, they got these small or short sentences where people with crack cocaine had to go to jail longer. Remember all of that? Remember every bit of that we were told? Now we're going to eliminate that base. We're going to make it so it's impossible for these folks to flourish, drug dealers and drug users alike. No drugs, what are people going to do? Right? What are they going to do? Imagine we eliminate the drug trade right here in the United States. Make it so small that nobody can get high. No one can harm another child. They don't have anything to fight for in the streets, right? What are they just going to fight for, like old school territory? Territory for what? They're not selling any drugs. Drugs are out. And this president is putting an end to it. Stopping the trafficking coming into these communities. What's the complaint about? I'm still trying to figure out, Jim Himes. I'm trying to understand. Unless, of course, you want the drugs here. Are you going to treat it like teen pregnancy? They're going to get high anyway. You can't stop anybody from sniffing a little blow. Is that the attitude we're going to have? They're just going to do what they're going to do. You can't stop it. Is that the attitude? That sounds familiar. I've heard you folks do this before. When we come back, I'm going to take your phone calls, but I'm going to tell you a little story about this and why the whole drug thing personally, the reason why I'm so against it and why I support the president and Pete Hegseth in their efforts to kill these bastards. That's just my view. It's just my view. We'll talk about it when we get back. I'll explain why. Let's get another check of your weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We're back. It's Reese on the radio. We got weather and traffic coming up in a minute, but let me get to Leroy. Leroy called a couple of weeks ago to talk about this subject. Am I not getting him? There he is. And Leroy was skeptical. He was a skeptic about the blowing up of Venezuelan boats in international waters. What say you today, Leroy?
I'm still skeptical. Because, listen, man, I gave you credit for being smarter than what you are, if you're going for that. Because, look at here, I'm in the streets. I might be 68, but I've been in the streets, and I know what time it is with drugs and all of those things. And when you blow up a little boat like that, we have tons of drugs coming into this country, man.
Right. Coming in through the southern border, or at least it used to.
Yeah. The boats that he blew up won't even take care of Connecticut.
Right.
Now, where are the drugs for the other 49 states?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're saying where are the drugs in the other 49 states? What's it look?
If he's eliminating drugs like that, those little boats can't bring in what America needs for drugs. As far as trafficking drugs into the country, what was the mode of entry usually coming into the country? I would say on ships.
Actually, no.
Planes.
No,
Ships
not
and
that they're
planes.
not that they're not coming in on planes. No. Not that they're not coming on planes. I know you're talking about cargo ships like coming in from China at our ports in and around the country. That's absolutely true. There's a lot of that's going on. You're 100% right on that. But a majority of our drugs, as far as trafficking is concerned, has come through our southern border. That's how the cartels. Oh, yes, they did.
Those little bitty boats, though.
Well,
man.
I'm not talking about the little bitty boats here, but I'm talking about something else. Now, listen to this, right? Now, we know this, and this is factual. During the Biden administration, we found that China was sending fentanyl to Mexico because Mexico was allowing cartels to take said fentanyl and come in through the southern border, the poorest southern border where millions crossed over, right?
Yes.
That was the majority of where all of our fentanyl and our opioids were coming because of the porous open border. Now that border is done, cut off, and then Donald Trump got it back and forth with, what's his name? Fidel Castro's bastard son, whatever his name was, the former Prime Minister of Canada. Went back and forth with him talking about the border there. Why? Because there were drugs coming in from the northern border. They just recently, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi talked about this huge drug sting that they did in Canada with fentanyl that was coming in from the northern border. So this is what the president has been very effective at, is stopping drugs from coming in. The focus has been on these boats coming in from Venezuela, as if to say that's the only interdiction that this administration is having with drugs coming into the country. That isn't the case at all.
Hey, Reese, I want you to look up something.
Yeah, sure.
About 3 years ago, a plane came in, right, carrying marijuana, and it landed at Brainerd Field.
Okay.
All right, I got a scanner. I listened to the police. I listened to them talk, and they were very angry when DEA came in and wouldn't let them get none of the drugs. All right, what happened was I'm listening to the scanner, and I hear one cop tell other cop, I counted up like 100 pounds before they ran us off. And guess how many pounds was on the plane?
So
150 pounds. When the guy said the plane was packed full and DEA ran them off and wouldn't let them get none of the drugs.
So you're saying that the DEA was doing something shady?
They stole the drugs, man.
Hey, hold on. You know what? In no way am I disagreeing with you there. That's my point in all of this. And you know what? Leroy, you got to hold on for me because I'm going to explain something to you because you're missing the obvious right there. Give me a second. We'll get back to Leroy in a second. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this.
It's Reese on the radio.
Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, Reese on the radio. We're back. Let me get back to Leroy here. Now, Leroy, I'm going to ask you this because I know exactly where you're going. You said you're 68 years old. You're older than me, but we kind of come from what I would say sort of a universal truth as people who lived in the hood. You Hartford, me Hollis, right? So we have what's called... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I used to be in New York every day, man. I know New York like the back of my
That's
hand.
what I'm saying. Okay, so you and I, as black men from those communities, have what's called a universal truth. And that is, when it comes to the stuff that's happening in our communities, we have often been led to believe that the government is, in and of itself, is corrupt, and it has done everything to thwart our advancement as a people. They bring drugs into our community. They do things in an underhanded way, and you can't trust them. Can you say that's a universal truth in our communities?
Yes, that's the truth. But I know it. I'm 68. I've witnessed it.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. There was a cop in Hartford by the name of Chris Lyons. Everybody feared him. Okay?
Right.
Those guys stole money. They sold drugs. There was a cop.
Are you certain of that? Because you're setting yourself up here.
I'm certain of it.
Okay.
Certain of it. The two people that I'm going to tell you the story about are dead. Ricky Johnson was a cop that ran with Chris Lyons in this big cleanup gang he had. Every time that they had a big raid, this cop would come and find my brother.
Allegedly.
And make him buy his drugs.
Right. Okay. But no, hear me out. So what you're talking about is, in essence, what we know to be true. We cannot trust certain organizations because they're what we call the deep state. The thing that we have been laughed about for the last, 10 years? The deep state. In essence, government's acting inside its own, sort of entities, doing what it wants without or either be at the behest of the administration or without its knowledge. Right? And as you just said, you heard a plane land and 150 pounds of marijuana was there, and the DEA came in and thwarted that. And you, as many people would believe, they found a way to get those drugs into the inner cities or get them around to the drug dealers anyway to make sure that those things were being dispersed, and they would take a cut or they'd skim, or whoever the drug cartel was getting it in would give them their cut. Right? Or pay them under the table to make sure that their drugs got into the country. That's something we've known. We've seen the movies about it. Tom Cruise was in a movie not too long ago that talked about how he was paid by the federal government to fly in cocaine. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we know that for certain. So here's the question I'm asking you in all of that. You are now confirming to me that you believe in the deep state. So now we have a president of the United States that is doing anything and everything in his power to not do the thing you were just telling me you were, in essence, complaining about, saying that the government has underhanded or underserved those communities by allowing those drugs to get in. Right. So he attacks drug boats. He closes the southern border where a majority of those drugs were, goes after the northern border, and Justin Trudeau, thank you, Matt, for reminding me of his name, stopping them from getting fentanyl into the country. Here is a president who is stopping that. And you are saying that you take issue or you don't believe him.
He looks like that's what he's doing. But you know what he's really doing?
Tell me.
He's getting rid of the middleman. That's all he's doing.
How so? Like he's getting rid of the cartels?
How so? He's getting rid of the middleman.
Who's the middleman?
So that they could be the only dealer.
Wait. Who's the middleman here?
I don't been the United States is going to be the only drug dealer here in a little while.
But wait a minute, he's going after drug companies. He's going after drug companies for opioids.
Yes, I understand that. Those are legal drugs.
Yes. And so are you saying that we're now going to produce our own cocaine and marijuana?
Probably already doing it. I don't know. No, they got somewhere to get it.
The guy, listen to me.
Over in Afghanistan right now taking it.
The president of the United States. Hold on. The president of the United States.
I watched the Taliban do an interview.
Uh-huh.
And the guy said from our government that when the Taliban had Afghanistan, there were no drugs. They shut down the drugs.
Okay.
What did the United States do? Got rid of the Taliban so that the drugs could come back.
Okay, so now the president of the United States is putting a stop to that. And here's my thing. What's the president's view on alcohol and drugs? What's his view on it? For it or against it?
I know what he said.
No. Did he have a brother? Did he have a brother who died of addiction?
I don't know that.
Oh, yes, he has.
I don't know much about Trump.
Okay, you got it. Then see, that's why I'm Leroy. Come on, you got to know about the guy before. See, it's funny that you're saying you don't know that much about him, but you have made, as you just did just here, you made every assumption in the book about the man. You now admit you know little of. How can you both be true? How can you know his intent? No. You can't know enough. Leroy, stop for a second. Leroy, hear me out. Leroy, hear me out for a minute.
Don't know what.
Leroy, hear me out. What I'm saying to you is that it is not fair for you to make an assumption about a man's intent that you then admit you know little of. Right? You can't. You're demonizing him without the knowledge of who he is. All I'm saying is if you're certain of this, at least have the info that leads you to that assumption. You're saying you have none.
Reese, listen, you can know somebody for 100 years and not really know them.
You haven't even done that. I mean, come on.
That's true. But I've done enough to know that his father didn't rent to blacks, and he got in trouble.
He's not supposed to, Leroy. He's not supposed to rent to blacks because they're blacks. Do you not understand that? You're sitting up here telling me I own an apartment and blacks want to move into it, and the reason why I'm having them move in is because they're black. I don't give anything to anybody based on their skin color. And you don't give preferential... Wait. You don't... Listen, I don't give you preferential treatment because of your skin color. And at the same time, ask me not to be discriminatory. It's either you want me to be discriminatory or you don't. It's got to be the same on both ends. So everybody keeps saying he wouldn't rent to black people. So... that means that black people are supposed to be allowed to rent because they're black? What else? What else plays a factor? Do they get to have, Leroy, do they get to have bad credit in moving to my apartments too? Like, no. Do they get to not be able to pay the rent and still get in because they're black? Is that supposed to be the card that gets them into my apartments? It was like, hey, I don't care about how much money you got in the bank. Move on in. Blackness allows you to get anything you want. Just pull out the black card.
I'm sure some of them people had money and could pay.
You're sure? I bet you're about as sure as you know Trump.
But I want to give you a compliment. You and your wife, y'all seem to deserve each other. Y'all look like a good team.
Oh, thank you very much. Can I assume you watched our video?
Yeah, I have not watched your video or anything.
Oh, okay.
I just listened to you guys on Friday, and you were like a glove in a hand. You just right there together.
Thank you.
I like that, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You did good with that. I can say that. You did good there.
Leroy, even though you don't agree with me half the time, man, I appreciate you listening nonetheless, man. God bless you, and I love you, brother.
Well, somebody has to listen to what these people are saying, because everybody that did all this talking on your show, they're going to have to account for those words one day.
That's right.
Because I'm here, and I'm listening. And when the tide turns, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up everything I heard.
Well, I expect you to do just that. Thank you, Leroy.
That's why I listen every day.
Thank you, man. God bless you, man. I appreciate you.
Bless you too, sir.
You got it. Let's go. Thank you for waiting for me, Jerry. I appreciate you, sir. What's going on?
Hey, just for Leroy and your discussion about the corrupt government, the Tuskegee experiments were not conducted by Klansmen wearing white robes. They were conducted by credentialed public health officials wearing white lab coats.
Damn right.
And my point is that as much distrust as there is for the police, it shouldn't necessarily stop there. We've seen public health officials during this pandemic put the most infectious people in with the most vulnerable people time and time again, and thousands died of all races.
Indeed.
So don't just, look at the cop, look at the Fauci and others, and
exactly. The corruption is rampant everywhere. That's the point. It's like as I was trying to express to Leroy, it's just like he knows there's a corrupt system out there, but yet someone trying to thwart that corrupt system is then being considered corrupt. And I'm going, well, where do you draw the line?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like Leroy doesn't know about Trump's brother, but he knows about his father.
Right.
Hey, I'm calling about the drugs, but also, time permitting, something that just stinks to the high heavens about this National Guard shooting. If we have time to get to it. Regarding drugs, one way to look at it is nobody I know, and probably nobody you know, and nobody Leroy knows, has died from climate change. But everybody I know, and probably everybody you know, and probably everybody Leroy knows somebody who, whether you know their names and you remember their faces, who died from drugs.
Indeed.
And if Trump is only eliminating the Connecticut volume of drugs coming in here, well, two of those people I know were young men that died here in Connecticut. So if I could have their lives back, it would be a wonderful thing.
Indeed.
Just because you're not solving 100% of the problem all at once doesn't mean you don't try to do what you can do. And that's the way I look at it. That's how this thing should be looked at.
Exactly.
Regarding I was at a rental car counter at an airport a couple of years ago, and the clerk asked the man in front of me, "So what brings you to our fair city?" And the man said, I'll never forget this. He said, "I've come to claim the body of my 22-year-old daughter.
Wow.
She died from a drug overdose.
Ooh.
My beautiful daughter is dead, and I'm here to bring her home." And I'm thinking to myself, there's like a kick in the teeth, but it's not just the hundreds of thousands that have died on Biden's watch. It's the millions of mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and cousins and friends who had their hearts broken, who had their lives torn apart by a loss to someone due to especially heroin and fentanyl.
Yeah.
And so when I see these seditious six, now they're complaining about the drug boat operations, it's like, wait a minute. Our borders were opened. Hundreds of thousands died, and you said nothing.
Indeed.
So keep your mouth shut now. That Senator Kelly and the woman I call the new Hillary Clinton, this elite
Slotnick
person, it is unbelievable,
unfathomable in my view.
And so I'm going to use that to segue to this thing in Washington D.C. and the seditious six, especially Slotnick. She had said about a month or so ago that that these D.C. National Guardsmen could be targeted.
Yeah.
And I ask you, and this is really an open question, what would possess a husband and a father of 5 children to drive from Washington State to Washington, D.C. on what was not just a homicide mission, it's really a suicide mission.
That's right.
He suspected, and the question is, did he join a terrorist organization? Did he become radicalized? Or did his old CIA pals reach out to him and say, you do this or else this happens to your family, which is often the way the people that do the suicide bombing, they're often either threatened or bribed.
Or coerced, yeah. Always.
Yes, they're coerced. So let's say waterboarding is a bad word, and you couldn't use the information you got in a trial against this guy, but you don't need it. You got him on videotape.
Right.
But what I do want, I want his Confederates found out. I want to know if this is a larger conspiracy. I want to know if somebody from the CIA put an arm on him and said, we got a job for you. Because to me, like less than 24 hours later, the New York Times had quotes from the guy's brother. Oh, it's like a PTSD thing. Oh, yeah, so you're upset, so you drive 3,000 miles and you leave your family behind. It just...
Yeah, it stinks to high heaven, primarily because, as you just suggested in the story that I read last week as well. Same thing. It was like this guy apparently, according to the group that he was a part of, there was a death squad sort of attached to this. And I'm going, this seems really, really fishy. I think we're going to find out a lot more than these sort of psyops that are coming out of the New York Times and the Washington Post, that something else nefarious, maybe even close to as you describe it, was going on here. Somebody put a little, hand on his shoulder and said, "We need this to happen for this reason." But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, it's just an amazing coincidence. The Times found this guy's brother less than 24 hours after this went down. It's almost wondered if the interview happened before the shooting.
Yeah.
And so if there is ever a case to justify waterboarding, not for evidence in his trial, but for evidence about who his Confederates are,
right.
I think this may be a case for that. We
Indeed.
can't just assume it was one guy that went nuts and drove 3,000 miles.
Exactly.
And left 5 children and a wife at home.
Indeed. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate you, boss man. Thank you thank you for holding again for me.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I'd like to applaud Roland for pointing out my dietary needs. What you doing eating that honey bun? Shh. The wife might hear you. It's Hollywood News time. It's Hollywood News. With your correspondent, Reese on the radio. All the glitz and all the glamour. It's Hollywood News. Now, have you ever had a movie that you really, really want to see, but you can't see? Like, no matter what, you can't go see it, Roland. I have this movie that I really, really want to see, but I can't see it. I just won't, because I hate snakes. But I really want to see it. Yes.
With Jack Black?
Do it, Jack Black.
You got to go see that.
So apparently, everyone is really excited about this because it's sort of like they call a meta movie. It's supposed to be making fun of the Anaconda movies, and it's a comedy that they are putting on par with. Who are they comparing this to? Oh, a Jumanji-esque and Hangover style. So Jumanji meets Hangover with a little bit of horror with a man-eating anaconda.
Why not?
And no, don't get me wrong. I think it's a brilliant idea, but I am deathly afraid of snakes. I can't watch a movie where a snake's going to be popping out and sort of like the jump scare from the... I won't watch it. I just can't do it. And yet I got to get over my fear of snakes in order to watch it, but I don't think I can. This is one of those movies that I really, really want to see, but I can't.
I think you'll be fine.
That's you.
I think you'll be fine. Go there, look at the snake on a big screen, let it pop out and almost eat you, and I think you'll be okay.
Yes, I'm sure I won't have nightmares, Roland. We watched that TV show Pluribus, the one that's on Apple TV.
Yep.
We watched it. Do you know we won't watch it at night anymore?
Is it that scary?
It's not even scary. It's kind of a mind screw. And Roseanne and I both woke up the first 2 episodes. We woke up and I go, God, I just had the weirdest dream about Pluribus. And Roseanne goes, so did I. And we were freaked out because it was so real. So we won't watch it at night. We only watch it during the day. And it's not even a scary show, but it is like such a mind screw up. I can't mess with it.
And sometimes it's the background music will get you too.
It is.
That's what sets the tone, and now that's into your system, and then it's downhill from
My
there.
deathly fear of snakes is keeping me from watching this movie, even though I really want to see it, because I like Paul Rudd. I'm not much of a Jack Black fan, but I really like
I'm a Jack
Paul
Black
Rudd.
fan.
Yeah, I'm
School
not.
of Rock.
Not yet. Well, that's about it. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, are you afraid of snakes?
Not gardener snakes, but like the big monster ones that could wrap around you.
Yeah. Do you ever go to like a street fair and there's always some Yahoo?
Yeah, exactly.
With the albino who has, hey, take a picture with him.
I think the last time I was in New York City near Ground Zero, there was a guy out on the street with a couple around his neck.
Oh. And would you take a photo with like when they?
I've done that. I've done.
You've done it.
I
and
have
it freak
done
you out?
No. It was at a science center. I was thinking the one in Wethersfield.
One guy did it to me, and my spine
really
turned to jelly, and I collapsed.
Oh my God. Did you really?
Oh, I couldn't stand it. It was like feeling the muscles of the snake against my body. I freaked, and my body just went limp.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I'm definitely afraid of them.
I'm more afraid of bees. I hate bees because you can't see where they're coming from.
That's true.
Before you know it, they're all over you.
Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns.
I worked with this guy for 3 years. How did I not see that coming?
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We are back. By the way, I want to thank the folks over at the Connecticut Sentinel. They sent me a nice message. Folks, you may not know this, but if you don't watch the show online, it's what I'd like to call a separate part of the show is my T-shirt collection. The T-shirts are, and as are the hats, are another character on the video program. So you can watch me flail my arms around during the show when I'm getting like all energized, or my interviews where you can at least look at the person that I'm talking to. Those are all elements of the online show. But the T-shirts for me is I'm always finding something that, if not theme related, it's personal to me. The Dropkick Murphys and wearing a Boston Red Sox cap that I saw, I haven't seen this one, so I had to grab this one, is usually like for something. Dropkick Murphys, Red Sox, Fenway, the whole bit. You get it. That's sort of my representation of New England and Boston, a town that I love. It's lost its way in a lot of ways, and you all know. I don't have to get into all that. But if you ever want to sort of understand what that's about, check out the online show now and again. It's on YouTube until we figure out this Facebook thing. And for those of you who are asking about, it's like, what happened to Facebook? I'll explain it. It's real simple. Here's what happened. So back in 2021, during the whole pandemic thing, I wrote a post when I found out that certain people in New York couldn't get into an Applebee's without a vaccine passport. At the same time, the Biden administration, of course, with Karine Jean-Pierre as the press secretary, could not answer the question why illegals who were coming through the border, the southern border, did not need to have passports or any documentation from their country of origin. Many people were arguing that asking those folks to identify themselves was a bridge too far, but they were okay with vaccine passports at an Applebee's. So I wrote, and I'm summing up here, I'm sort of paraphrasing what I wrote, but it went a little like this. If you allow, or if you're for vaccine passports to get into an Applebee's, but not at the southern border, punch yourself in the face. Because of that quote, Facebook, 4 years later, because I wrote it on December 18th, 4 years later, decided that that post was harmful and was promoting self-harm. Because I said, if you believe in a vaccine passport to eat at Applebee's, but not a passport to cross the southern border, that you should punch yourself in the face. Now, it's a line that I've told plenty of people. I have a friend, Jamie, that I used to say to him all the time, if anyone ever calls you a great father, punch them in the face. That was an insult that I would use. It's meant in humor. But Facebook said that I violated its terms of self-harm, and they won't allow me to stream live. That's why. So you got to go to YouTube, and now you have to go to X as well. That's I can't stop laughing at it. I should be outraged, but I can't stop laughing at it. Because as I said at the beginning of the show, right? Serenity prayer, right? Accept the things I cannot change. I can't change it. That's what happened. It's what it is. And I adapt to it. Change the things that I can. I promoted the fact that you can find me on X and you can find me on YouTube. So that's where we are. I just wanted to get that out. I wanted to get that out of here. Ted in the chat room says, are we ever going to address the demand for drugs in America? Of course, Ted. Of course there's a demand for drugs in the United States. But how would you like me to address it? Would you like me to admonish those who are addicted to them? I mean, I can talk about it as a person who has now been alcohol-free for a little more than 6.5 years. I think I can talk about it. I can talk about those of us who have had to deal with debilitating addictions, those that could render us dead. Sure, if you want to have a conversation about it, absolutely. But what kind of conversation do you want to have? Do you want to have a conversation that expresses the disease or talks about the disease that people have with drug addiction? Yes, it is a disease. Absolutely. Do you want to have a discussion on how we should remedy it? We can have that discussion too. But what I'd like to have a discussion about, if we might, because I think we can walk and chew gum, if we can have a discussion about doing both, helping people with their disease and eradicating the thing that afflicts them. Can't we do both? We don't have to, because I think that once the drugs are gone, imagine we had become a country that was drug-free, right? Like we had become the Philippines. What was it? What's that guy's name? Duarte, whatever his name is? That guy. If we had become a country that would, essentially give the death penalty for somebody who was selling drugs. Yeah, you remember that guy? Yeah. Imagine we had that country where no drugs were ever allowed, but we had all of these people who were afflicted with the disease of drug addiction. What would we do with them? Of course, we'd have to give them a 12-step program. Sure, why not? We could do that. Perhaps we can put them in some form of a Betty Ford rehabilitation center. Of course, we can provide that to them. Why not? And do those things. But I think what Ted is asking here says, are we ever going to address the demand for drugs? As if to suggest that those people who are demanding the drugs here don't bear some responsibility for their demand. Of course they do. They are the ones who are responsible for their own addiction, and they are the ones who are going to be responsible for their own recovery. That's how that works. Each person has to be responsible to themselves. That's just the way that it is. So if you want to address the demand for drugs, I don't know exactly what conversation you want to have. So maybe you should at least address it in a sense of saying, let's talk about this, that, and the third. I don't know, Ted, if you're a person who's ever done drugs or had a demand for drugs or a need for drugs, but I would look at it this way. I understand that there's alcohol everywhere, but the only way that I don't drink the alcohol that's in the grocery store or at the 7-Eleven or at the party, the wedding that I DJ, the only way that I don't, again, the drug being there, the only way that I don't get drunk is based on me. I've got to do the work, right? I've got to put in the effort. I have to follow a program of recovery in order to stay sober. That's how that works. So please understand, when you start talking about the demand for drugs in America, it always sounds like, and that's just me. I don't want to be this person who's like, oh, I know all of it now, but I'm just telling you because I know, because I understand it. When I hear people talk about addressing the demand for drugs in America, you are probably not a person who has ever been demanding of drugs, and you do not understand the addiction or the disease. Understand it first before you talk about it, because then you would understand how you approach the demand for drugs. Because I think that blanket statement alone is, I don't know, It's naive. It just is. And I'm not saying that to be cruel or dismissive. It just is. It's naive. That's all I'm saying. Is Sam back? Hey, Sam.
Yes, I am. How are you, Reese?
I'm good, sir. Did you want to opine on this one?
I absolutely do. So my name is Sam. I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. And I believe that as an alcoholic and addict in recovery, my first step is accepting the fact that I have a problem.
Damn right.
I don't think that anyone can recover without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that, look, knowing that I'm an alcoholic and an addict, I can be addicted to anything.
Yeah.
Like toilet paper. Well, yeah, I love it. There's a million different addictions, and it's more of a soul sickness than it is anything else. I don't really think that eradicating drugs would help that cause.
Right.
But I think that it would prevent it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, the country of Portugal made all drugs legal. Totally, well, not legal, decriminalized.
Oh, right.
Maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And they saw a decrease in all crime.
Really?
As well as decreased addiction, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not prescribing that to America because
too big of a country.
Yeah, and we're a bunch of spoiled little hootenannies.
So no, but you bring, you know what? Like I said, the comment that Ted is making here about the demand for drugs in America, I believe that's coming from a place that doesn't understand that a lot of those who are addicted do have a disease, because a lot of people don't designate. It's only how many years now has it been, Sam, that they designated alcoholism or drug addiction as a disease, like by the American Medical Association?
I think that happened sometime in the early or late 70s,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
But
So
not too many.
Exactly. Many people did not even distinguish. It's so funny because I've talked to people who have said, people yell at alcoholics, like when people yell at alcoholics for their disease, he goes, I want you to equate it as if you were yelling at your mother for her breast cancer. Right? It's like you don't, it's the same thing, but people don't see it that way.
Indeed.
So that I thought was interesting. And thank you for your share, my friend. I really appreciate that. You got it.
Have a nice night.
Thank you, man. You
See
too.
You later. Bye-bye.
So that's when you say, like I said, these people talk about they want to have a conversation about about the demand for drugs in the country. It's not a demand. That's a sickness. It's a disease. That's in viewing it that way. Now if you understand it, you'll understand how important it is to remove it from this country. Why it is important that we remove it, because we have more and more people who are using, more and more people who are on some form of drug or alcohol in order to cope than ever before. Even though those numbers are decreasing, I'm not going to lie, those numbers are decreasing. That's hopeful. But when we say we want to talk about the demand, what conversation do you want to have? I don't think anybody really does. It's a tough conversation if you're not involved in it, or, you talk to somebody in Al-Anon. You don't even have to talk to a person who's an addict. Talk to someone who goes to Al-Anon meetings to support people who are suffering from this affliction. Those people will help you too. Those people will help you understand that it's not as simple as a demand for. It's deeper than that. I've heard that comment over and over again. So I just wanted to address that, Ted. I hope that it answered some questions for you. When we come back, schools in crisis. Immigrant student enrollment drops, straining budgets. That's interesting. And that's supposed to be a bad thing? Because I don't understand how you strain a budget when the budget is reliant on people who come into the school. So every time you get a new kid, more money goes in. Kid goes out, money goes out. Unless you were using the money for something else. Not getting it. So It's weird. We'll get to that in a second. More news, more views coming up. Mark Christopher's getting you home. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
All right, folks, stop fronting. Get the Odyssey app today. Go over there and download it right now. The Odyssey app, so you can find out what happened was right here on Reese on the Radio. Don't forget, you can go to WTIC.com, get the podcast. You can also go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, also get the show. You can read my Substack. My Substack in there this week is called Hating Ben Proto. It is really, really a piece of work. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you haven't, and you don't follow me on social media, you got to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, right? Go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, scroll all the way down, Substack's there. It's new. And then you can subscribe, and then you get it every Sunday morning, roughly at about 7:30, right? It goes right there, 7:30. It takes me a while. I write it, I post it, I do it on Saturday night. And then it shows up on Sunday, right? Sunday morning. When you wake up and you're drinking your coffee, hey, I want to read something. I can't go out and get the paper because it's cold outside. What can I read? Hey, Reese has got a Substack, and it comes right to my email. Or I can just go online and just find it. And then at 9 o'clock, I then take the Substack once it goes public. Then I go on X, and I put it in the X articles. You can find it there. And also put a link on Facebook, on both of my Facebook, my personal one, and my Reese on the Radio page. So there's no way that you can miss it because it's everywhere. In this article, again, called Hating Ben Proto. And it's a good, I think it's worth reading. You should check it out. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. We'll wrap up the show. Let me just say this real quick. So NBC Connecticut did a piece that paints the picture of U.S. public schools reeling from the sharp drop in immigrant, or as they put it, newcomer student enrollment, blaming it squarely on Trump's immigration crackdowns published around late 2025. It uses anecdotal stories, district stats, and educator quotes to argue that fewer kids crossing the border means less funding, program cuts, and a sad reality for education. The tone of the article is sympathetic to immigrants and educators, framing the decline as a crisis that isolates kids and guts budget, without much nod to a broader enrollment trend or policy upsides. All right? That's what they're saying. Now, the BS in the article is real simple. The article is telling the truth in the sense of there are real sharp declines. But the budget that they're talking about is a budget that it didn't deserve in the first place. They were taking taxpayer dollars to educate illegals. Sorry, but that's just a fact. When you remove the illegals, you remove the budgeting. What people want to do is get smaller class sizes, no more immigrants, and still keep the money. That's the problem. You can't keep the money. We are giving you the money based upon students, right? If you get $17,000 per kid, and it's not even, is it really that high? It's roughly about that high. $17,000 per kid, and now the kid's no longer there, you don't get to keep the $17,000. That's just it. So complaining about budget strains, no. Everything you have is per student. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So they could be upset about it, but in my view, who cares? I know that there are teachers out there who are happy that they don't have to have another assistant there who speaks Spanish. They have to spend extra time with a kid who's probably got a learning disability. That also includes not being able to speak English. And the other kids are lagging behind because they don't have the attention that they deserve. It happens. And I know the teachers out there, they tell me all the time, or at least their husbands do, because they can't call. Fear of retribution and all. That's all I'm saying. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
By the way, I tell you guys all the time, this is one of the leading conservative shows with liberal listenership. It is, without a doubt. Liberals listen all the time. And don't get me wrong, applaud to all of them who do. A lot of you sit up there and say, they don't listen to us. Yes, they do. Okay? I know they're not listening to liberal shows. They're too boring. They just are. Okay? They come here because they think I'm a lunatic. They think I'm a whack job. They do. But that, in saying that, I want to give a shout out to Peter and Nikki, or at least that's who they're claiming they are, the handle they're using on YouTube. I'd like to read, if I could, a couple of comments that are on here. I'm going to start with the last one and then get to the most important one here. Peter and Nikki say, maybe you should be honest with your listeners and stop nursing on Trump's lies. Peter and Nikki says, first step in recovery is it. Oh, that was from Michael A. Thank you for that, Michael A. I appreciate that. Excuse me. What's this one? Oh, drill, baby, drill means let's invade a sovereign country and steal their oil and whatever else we deem valuable. Administration officials have publicly admitted the objectives to the objectives surrounding. It has it's nothing more than a distraction. And I'm sure that Reese is fully aware that this military buildup has nothing to do with drugs, but everything to do with regime change. Now, again, Peter and Nikki, is it Peter and Nikki? Peter and Nikki, maybe new to the program. But as I told you, I am here to be 100% above board with you so that the liberals don't think, see, he won't read my comments. Read them all, Pete and Nikki, just to let you know. But Pete and Nikki, you want me to be honest? Regime change, you say. Are you being honest? If I may, since you're watching online, please tell me who that woman is. For those of you who are listening on the radio, you may not know that woman. That woman is Maria Corina Machado. Aside from the fact that she is the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize not too long ago, she is also the rightful president of Venezuela because the people of Venezuela voted for her overwhelmingly. The United States does not recognize Maduro as the president of the United States because they had an election and Maria won. There is no regime change. Maduro is staying in power on his own, regardless of his people who have voted him out. Regime change? No. There was an election. He lost. And the rightful president sits in exile, in hiding, even though she was voted for overwhelmingly. You, Pete and Nikki, should know better. Talk about nursing on Donald Trump's lies. How about you express some honesty yourself? There can be no regime change if Maduro lost. And the United States does not recognize him as the president of Venezuela. The people have spoken. You do believe in democracy, don't you, Pete and Nikki? Isn't that why you're out there protesting on Saturdays? Right? You're so concerned about the end of democracy? Well, there was one in Venezuela that you don't seem to be caring much about. I heard all these people talk about, it's about the oil. I thought the Iraq war was about all the oil. Turns out we got no treasure from that. Paid all in blood, but nobody got any oil out of that. We realized that afterwards. Even Donald Trump made that clear in 2015. He said we went to war. In fact, he admonished the Bush administration and Dick Cheney for doing all of that, spending all of that money in Iraq and coming back with nothing. While all of you were out there protesting, saying no blood for oil. Turns out we got none. None. Interesting. In fact, by the way, try this on for size. Go look up how many barrels of oil were coming out of Iraq before the war. And then look up how much came out after. Yeah, I did. It was one of the first things I looked up. In fact, I do that research, but I don't expect you to because you're lazy. So, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you. Come on back. Come on back now. It's my favorite thing to say. Frankie boy, what's going on?
Have you seen a picture of this woman, Rhonda Caroline Fierro? You know who she is?
No, why doesn't the name not even ring a bell?
She's the mother of Karen Levitt's nephew.
She was arrested.
Oh, yes. They were trying to make a big deal out of it because Caroline Levitt's family member, like, that's her family member? It's her brother's baby mama.
Right.
And they're saying Caroline Levitt is hiding the fact that she got deported. That's interesting.
Well, she didn't get deported yet. She's in the Louisiana prison.
Yeah.
But my point is, there's another country. If you're a young white boy, you should go to Brazil. I saw a picture of her. I saw a picture of her on a dress sitting on a park bench.
Is that her in a red dress?
Oh, baby, what a pair on her.
She's a very attractive young woman.
But
wait a minute, here's my thing. What about all these people who are trying to make hay of this? This is Caroline Levitt's brother, the mother of her brother's child, right? And Donald Trump's administration is still deporting her. And I was just saying this to my wife the other day. I said, if they didn't deport her and they protected her, they would say, see, Donald Trump's not reporting anything that's associated with him. He even deported her. So everybody, no one's off limits.
No, but she should not be deported.
Oh, why? Just because she looks good?
Yeah, you can't let that be. But here's the bottom line. If you're a young single white man, you're looking for a wife, listen carefully. Sicily, Greece, Spain, Brazil. Don't waste your time with this bottle of milk in this country who's going to divorce you down the road. You know all about that.
Listen to me.
What's going to happen to
you are this. I am not going to allow you to destroy the American.
Oh.
No, that's right. The salt of the earth. I got to get out of here.
The salt of the earth. They're white as the salt.
That's right. Exactly. The salt of this earth. Goodbye. Get out of here. Let's go to Larry, who's calling all the way down in Bridgeport. What's up, Larry?
Yeah, hi, Reese. Thanks for taking my call. I just had to make a comment. You were talking about Iraq and Bush and Cheney. And look, based on the definition of a war criminal, both of them are war criminals.
I've heard that.
Take that definition. Even if you look at the most conservative estimates of the people who died in the Iraq War, I'm talking civilians here.
Yes.
Not militants, civilians. Yes. It's over 500,000.
Yes, it is.
So I don't hear the news media talking about that. All they're doing is going after Trump and Hegseth.
Can I go one step further, Larry?
Sure,
Can I go one step further? Try this on for size. One of the biggest champions for trying Dick Cheney in The Hague was none other than Rachel Maddow, who showed up at his funeral.
It is embarrassing, to be honest with you. And I'll take it one step farther. General Wesley Clark is hitting all the news stations, giving his definition of a war criminal.
Yeah.
Wesley Clark was in charge of the NATO troops when America illegally bombed Kosovo and killed hundreds, if not thousands, of civilians. These are not...
Yeah, didn't we play both sides of that war?
Oh, well, what we did is we took our stars off of our planes, our designation or insignias, and we put on NATO insignias to try to... Clinton tried to cover that up.
Yep.
But the news media in America doesn't teach the kids that story about what happened in Kosovo in the late 80s when American planes bombed the cities there in former Yugoslavia and killed thousands. When I say thousands, I mean you're talking women, children, elderly
Indeed.
people. And guess what? I don't see anybody on the left talking about Bill Clinton as a war criminal or Al Gore. So give me a break about these drug-running boats where they're taking out these, terrible people who are pushing fentanyl in our country.
You know what? I'll go one step further. Let's go one step further. Al-Awlaki.
Right.
Remember that. And after the killing of Al-Awlaki, an American citizen, one Barack Hussein Obama in a New York Times interview said, and I quote, "I'm really good at this killing stuff."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't even get into Obama. I could, but I just touched upon Clinton, who's a Democrat, and Bush, who's supposedly a Republican, and Darth Vader himself, Dick Cheney. I mean, it's really, America's in the business, and I'm an independent guy.
Yeah.
America's in the business of pushing its way wherever around the world they can make money. Let's face it, it's the military-industrial complex.
That indeed.
As Eisenhower said, And folks, he was a 5-star general, and he said it. So
that's right.
And again, media, though, don't believe what you hear.
That's the part I don't understand about this. Listen, the crazy part about that, Larry, is, again, here is a president who is pushing against the thing that has often been criticized by the mainstream news media, the industrial complex that is war. They've been screaming and hollering about that in the Bush administration, in the Clinton administration. Hell, they did it in the Reagan administration. Now we got a guy who says, I don't want any more intercontinental wars, and they're going, oh, what a bad guy. It's like,
it's Trump. They hate him. It's this Trump derangement syndrome.
It is.
I don't agree with everything Trump did. Look at what they just did. The wrestling wife there, who runs the education department, she came out and said nursing is not a profession. Come on. So, folks, I can play the middle of the road here. Do I agree with everything Trump does? No. But please, to talk about a war criminal when you look at these previous presidents who have tons of death on their hands.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, boss. Again, it's shameful. The Al-Awlaki thing alone should embarrass everybody. Okay? They killed an American citizen, a 16-year-old boy. And nothing. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, ah! Again, just so we understand each other, when it starts to be mainstreamed, what happened with the Obama administration and drone strikes, when the mainstreaming of that happens, and it will, because there are more people, believe it or not, who watch Fox News than they do MS Now and CNN combined. All you have to do is go one of these programs on Fox News that have 3 to 4 million people on it, and they'll start running that story over and over again. Soon, very, very soon, all the rest of the media will stop talking about Hegseth because they know they're going to have to answer the question, what about Obama? That's how it goes. It's just the way that it is. Don't be mad at me. It's not, look. I'm just going to say this, and I'm sorry, guys, if I don't get to the last calls, but hear me out. You folks who are leftists who are trying to own us or own Donald Trump or, talk about all that stuff, just hear me out. You are being told by your puppet masters what to argue with me about. These are not original thoughts or ideas. They're not. They're weak. That's why I pluck them off with a zip gun. It's easy. I don't even have to try. So it's effortless. Why? Because you're using the talking points of someone who has directed your narrative. It's not original. And guess what? After they've embarrassed you, and that's what they do, they tell you what you're supposed to say to guys like me, and then you get embarrassed. Instead of going back to them and saying, dude, you hung me out to dry. I thought that was solid stuff. Instead of holding them accountable, you come after me for embarrassing you. Instead of holding the people who have allowed you to be embarrassed. Please go to your handlers and tell them you're coming out here. Seriously. You're coming out here with rolled up paper in a gunfight. You're going to lose every time. Okay? Stop with the talking points you learned on MSNBC and CNN. Okay? I'm well prepared. Well prepared. So thank you, Pete and Nikki. It's been a pleasure. But keep on coming back now, you hear? As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night. Pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. Come rain or shine, I hear the snow is coming. The snow is coming. Be afraid. Be very afraid. And put chains on your tires. Mark Christopher's getting you home. He's at the BBS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.